Fans, welcome to SICW-Wrestling Explosion. I'm Drew Abbenhouse, here with Herb Simmons, and today we take a very special look at Bruiser Brody as we take a trip back in time and across the sea to the land of the rising sun as he battles Japanese legend Tatsumi Fujinami. Also, back in East Carondelet, Big Jim takes on Axe. Herb Simmons catches up with Nikolai Volkov, all on a special episode of Wrestling Explosion.
The old season is over. The new season is coming. The Gateway Grizzlies are building for a spectacular 2015 campaign. The talent will be strong, hard-hitting, solid defense, reliable pitching. Plus, as always, the Grizzlies will have a schedule of superb promotions. It will be fun for the entire family at the right price. The Grizzlies were named the Frontier League Organization of the Year. The home for all this baseball excitement is a remarkable GCS ballpark. Make plans now to enjoy baseball the way it should be in 2015. For more information and updates, go to gatewaygrizzlies.com.
Unique and affordable gifts and collectibles on the internet are available at the Black Bear Haversack Trading Post. Go to blackbearhaversack.com. Semi-precious stones, bone horn and soapstone items, abalone shells, genuine coyote and water buffalo teeth pendants, products for Civil War, medieval, and Renaissance reenactments, and so much more. For a 10% discount, mention SICW number 7 when you place your order. It's blackbearhaversack.com for top quality at reduced prices.
Farm music and fun. The place to party is Pop's nightclub and concert venue in Sojay. From Bruno Mars or the first U.S. tour of Nickelback to Flogging Molly or the Insane Clown Posse, 30 years of memories pack Pop's concert venue with more made at every news show. And there's a party at Pop's nightclub every night, a melting pot of friends enjoy the best in dance, rock, pop, and top 40 music until 5:30 a.m. Plus add a full game room. Check out all the action at popsrocks.com. Then and now, the place to party is Pop's in Sojay.
Well, fans, this is a special treat for you. We're leading up to our big May 16th show in East Carondelet, the Bruiser Brody Memorial. We're going to have a Battle Royal tournament that night, and this is kind of a take a look back of Bruiser Brody in action. Dr. Drew, I want to thank you for picking this video because look at the wild man there. And I remember in my talks with him in the years that I had the honor of working with Bruiser Brody, this is what he told me it was like. And here it is, you're seeing this. And for those of you who used to come to our shows and had the opportunity to talk with Bruiser Brody, he mentioned how it was. And look at him, that is Bruiser Brody in action.
You know, this is a lot of why I picked out this specific match. There's a lot of matches that show his brutality and what he does inside the ring, but this is a rare glimpse of when you hear why the Japanese people revere him so much. This is a little bit of why. I mean, as soon as he started to make his entrance, he made that right turn into the crowd, and it's almost like the running of the bulls footage that you see, you know, where people they're having fun, they want to be close, but then when he gets within that distance, people scatter because they don't want to, you know, you don't want to make contact with the guy. And that Bruiser Brody, it's like he's got some horns on his head because look what he's doing. He doesn't mind swinging his chain around. If you get hit by that chain, that's your fault. If you get hit by a flying chair or a table, that's your fault.
Well, and he is just really, when you talk about somebody who knew how to perform, this guy knew. He would tell me that when he went over to Japan, when he'd get off the plane, there would literally be hundreds of people at the airport waiting for him, and they wanted to come up and touch him. And that was one of the things, he'd carry that chain with him at these arenas because he had to try to keep them back away from him. And look at him. Listen to that crowd.
You know, this entrance is as symbolic of Bruiser Brody.
Get the referee out of there.
I have no need for you, referee. Why don't you just get right out of here?
Bruiser Brody, and this is...
That's a ferocious sight, isn't it?
And this is what we are going to be doing memories of on Saturday night, May the 16th at the East Carondelet Community Center when his widow, Barbara Goodish, joins us, and his best friend back then, Stan the Lariat Hansen, will be joining us, along with Mick Karts. the former announcer back in the AWA days from the Minneapolis area, had the opportunity to talk with Bruiser Brody back in those days up there, so you'll get a perspective of what he had with him, and our good friend Larry Matisek, and any other surprises that we can come up with for that May 16th date. You'll have a chance to come in at a meet and greet and sit around and talk to Stan Hansen and find out about what their friendship was like. But right now, you're gonna watch the master at work right here.
Absolutely. And now Stan Hansen is somebody who was right there at Brody's side for a lot of his time here in Japan. So, you know, this is the sort of thing that you can ask Stan Hansen about too, and he'll be able to fill you in on just the uniqueness of the Japanese wrestling culture.
And this young man that he's taking on right here is no slouch, I can tell you.
Absolutely not. There you saw, he was tired of waiting. He took the fight to Bruiser Brody. This is Tatsumi Fujinami, known as the Dragon. Now, maybe not so well known in the United States, he is one of the top Japanese wrestlers of all time. This is someone who broke into the business under Antonio Inoki, and through the progress of his career, he's someone who captured the IWGP heavyweight title 6 different times. He was a tag team champion 5 different times. He started his career actually as a junior heavyweight. He's someone who held junior heavyweight championships in the precursor to the WWF, the WWWF. So he's held belts everywhere. He hasn't really wrestled in the States regularly since about the late 70s. That's why he's not so well known here. And he's actually, depending on your sources, Tatsumi Fujinami is also an NWA heavyweight champion. Now, some rule books will dispute this fact depending on where you see. Some people don't recognize his title win, but he did win that title off of Ric Flair in March of 1991. That's a disputed title win, but according to a lot of books, Tatsumi Fujinami, an NWA champion and a Hall of Famer of any Hall of Fame. He's someone that we all just saw, the world just watched Mr. Fujinami get inducted into WWE's Hall of Fame this past, just at the WrestleMania weekend. So just if Bruiser Brody's wrestling somebody in Japan, it's one of the best, and this is just another example of that.
Well, and you just saw Bruiser Brody there. He did a leapfrog, put that big boot up. I mean, this guy could wrestle. He could brawl. And look at that. I mean, oh, boy.
Fujinami kind of saw that
he
coming.
Sure did. Oh, drop kick. But I got to tell you, in my years of being around this giant of a man, I mean, battles against Abdullah the Butcher, Dick Murdoch, Nard the Barbarian, wherever we had a show and I had Bruiser Brody booked on it, it was a capacity crowd, and the electricity of the chant of Brody, Brody. And to this day, when we mention his name at the shows, our fans are still wearing his Bruiser Brody shirts, which is something else that we're going to have available for the memorial service that we're doing. They still will start that chant.
Yep. And here's what's interesting about Bruiser Brody. Our good friend Brian Kelly of Missouri Wrestling Revival just put out a tremendous 2014 yearbook. Inside that yearbook, he had a really cool feature where he talks to today's wrestlers and gets their top favorite wrestlers. And what's really interesting is the amount of today's wrestlers who list Bruiser Brody at the very top of their list of favorite wrestlers. So that's a really special individual it takes that this guy who's been gone from the wrestling world since, I believe 1988 it was. He's still, he's maybe your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. So it's just Bruiser Brody on a level that's just,
well, and
he's in his own stratosphere, really.
And I've got to tell you, and I've told the story to many people many times. It's asked. Larry Matisek and I had the opportunity, and we were actually back in 1988. We spent the weekend before his untimely death with Bruiser Brody. I had a business in Cahokia, Illinois, and Brody was in for our 1-year anniversary. Spent the weekend with us, and that Sunday evening before we left town, Larry Matisek and I got to spend it with him, just sitting around the lounge. And we talked about the business. We talked about his road trips, and 7 days later, the untimely demise took place. As you've all heard that story, and Very, very tragic thing, and Larry and I talk about if that individual right there that you're watching, Bruiser Brody, was still with us today with what we've got going on with SICW, could you imagine what we would be doing today?
Well, I would like to imagine it very much, and I don't want to speak for you or Brody. In my mind, I'd like to think that if Brody was still with us, he'd be there with us every month in the East Carondelet Community Center.
Oh, without a doubt. His friendship with Larry Matisek was next to none. I know we talk about him and Stan Hansen. Larry and Brody, Frank Goodish, had a special relationship, and
that patented flying knee drop of his.
And I got introduced to him by Larry Matisek, and from then on, I mean, it was a relationship that whenever I needed him to come in, he would. I tried to book him in over at South Broadway Athletic Club, and to show you the type of individual he was, he'd say, "Herb, how many people does that place hold?" And I told him. And he'd say, "Well, are you drawing good crowds?" And yeah, we're selling out. And he said, "Well, why do you want me to come in there? Why do you want to spend the money? If you have no room for more fans, save your money." Most wrestlers would not do that.
Yeah, try to find us. No, don't bring me in. Save a little cash. Don't bring me in.
So I had the utmost respect for him. And just to sit here and watch what he's doing there, perform, and watch this. I mean, this guy knew what had to be done.
I think we just heard the bell ring. I think that referee's seen about as much. He tried to give as much leeway to this match as possible, but that's as much as you can take.
I mean, I've saw this individual in action like this, like I said, with him and Abdullah the Butcher, him and John Nard the Barbarian at the Dupo High School out on the football field.
People still talk about Brody versus Abdullah the Butcher to this day that you have brought into Dupo.
Yes. Collinsville High School, we had him there. Waseca, Illinois.
Well, I mean, this is why. This is the sort of stuff that you would see with Bruiser Brody before the match, and now we heard the bell ring. The match is over, and these competitors have no need. They're sort of up in the stands right now, but there you go.
Well,
Brody,
and
he's not finished.
That's what we're going to be paying memories to on Saturday night, May the 16th, when we do the Bruiser Brody Memorial along with the celebration of 56 years of history of wrestling at the Chase at the East Carondelet Community Center, when Stan the Lariat Hansen will be with us, Barbara Goodish, Mick Karch from the AWA days, and our good friend Larry Matisek.
Absolutely right. Well, they're wrestling at the Chase, and I don't want to compare it too much to Japan, but a lot of what you're looking at right now happened in St. Louis that you would see is, now this match has been over for a couple of minutes, and I know he hasn't made his way back there yet, but Mr. Fujinami, you can see, is still ready to go. Bruiser Brody, he's out of the camera view right now, but that's only because he's pacing around the crowd like a madman, and I don't think this is quite over yet. This is the sort of physicality and action and just this battle attitude, this never say die fighting spirit of these guys. The match was over a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago. These guys aren't done fighting yet, and that's there aren't many wrestlers. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but that's something that Bruiser Brody sort of embodied, this wildness. Let's fight before the bell. The match is over. They're not done. They're not finished.
Well, and I can tell you, there's been people try to duplicate Bruiser Brody, but it will never be done.
Well, it's close sometimes in East Carondelet. Ron Powers gets a little wild like this every now and again.
Yes, but even Ron Powers will tell you he learned a lot from Bruiser Brody, but you can never perfect what he did.
Absolutely. Here you go. These two warriors just chained each other in that big chain, and they're just fighting off into the stands. This is a fight that probably kept going on for days, even after the cameras ended it. So look at this view of Bruiser Brody.
And I think on May 16th, when Stan the Lariat Hansen is sitting there in the East Carondelet Community Center, you can come and ask him what it was like to be in Japan when they tag team together.
Hello fans, Herb Simmons from SICW-Wrestling, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight with you with a special legend. As you know, SICW just loves bringing in these legends because they paved the way for what we're doing today. And it's really a pleasure to have our good friend with us here, Nikolai Volkov. Nikolai, welcome to the SICW.
Well, thank you. Pleasure to be here because, as many people know, I come from Russia, and when I come in St. Louis, first time in my life, long time ago, it was just like my second home because I met lots of Slavic people, lots of Polish people, lots of Russian people. At that time, I couldn't speak English, and so I have somebody to talk. That's what we remember St. Louis.
Well, you know, and today we got to spend some time together with another good friend of yours, Larry Matisek.
Oh yeah, Larry Matisek was a very nice man, very good promoter, honest, decent guy, and I miss him. And we have long time to go, good memories. And I like to see the wrestling is going this way, old school, and I love it to be here.
Well, and that's what we are. We pride ourselves, the SICW, on being old school, and that's why it's important when we bring in the caliber of people that you are. These fans grew up watching you in the St. Louis area and all over the country. So it's really a treat for them to be able to come here and spend this evening with none other than the big man himself, Nikolai Volkov.
Thank you.
And back, I remember in the 80s when you were working for Larry Matisek, you had some battles with another good friend of ours in the business, King Kong Bruiser Brody. Yeah. What was it like to work a guy like King Kong
Bruiser Brody was a big, strong guy. He just played football. He was in good shape, but believe me, I was in good shape too.
Yeah.
And we had some good, rough, tough matches, but we never spit on each other.
Well, and the difference between what it was when you were doing it back now and then what's going on today, how do you compare that?
Well, you cannot compare it. You know, people change with the time. I guess different time, different people. You know, and everything's going like that. Like Vince McMahon have one of the best show on earth. You know, the biggest show on earth. You know, and I work for him. I work for his dad. I work for him, and I never make enemies because this business is the best way to use your brain, stay healthy. That's it.
And you talked about earlier today Bruno Sammartino, the first show at Madison Square Garden.
Oh yes, I was always glad to be on that show. First time with Bruno Sammartino in 1970. That was the first time Madison Square Garden was sold out, and I have a match with Bruno Sammartino. And then after that we have, every time I work with him, I've been in New York so many times, and I work on Madison Square Garden many times. Every time I work on top there, Madison Square Garden always was sold out.
Very good. Fans, as I said, SICW, we pride ourselves in bringing in these legends right here. When you talk about legends, Nikolai Volkov.
Thank you.
Wrestling fans, do we have a treat for you as SICW presents the Bruiser Brody Memorial Book. In anticipation of the Bruiser Brody Memorial Show this May, we are debuting a brand new collector's book, complete with articles, rare photos, and more from the man himself, Bruiser Brody. For pre-orders, SICW.org or call 618-286-4848. All credit cards now accepted, or pick this special book up at any live SICW show.
Belleville Mechanical Incorporated is the place to go for commercial and industrial heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigerating work. Their Union Sheet Metal shop is the most modern, well-equipped in southwestern Illinois. Their work on the SIUE Engineering Building won Belleville Mechanical the Madigan Special Merit Award for new construction. Call 233-0081 for information. Belleville Mechanical will fabricate ductwork and custom fittings to your specifications. The highest union quality, superb workmanship, state-of-the-art equipment. Contact Belleville Mechanical.
SICW is pleased to welcome as a new sponsor Warma Witter Chrysler & Associates, Inc., independent insurance agent specializing in public entity insurance. For all your insurance needs, contact Bradley J. Chrysler at 618-632-7555, extension 806. That's 618-632-7555. When it comes to customer service for your insurance coverage, let Warma Witter Chrysler & Associates assist you.
The old season is over. The new season is coming. The Gateway Grizzlies are building for a spectacular 2015 campaign. The talent will be strong, hard-hitting, solid defense, reliable pitching. Plus, as always, the Grizzlies will have a schedule of superb promotions. It will be fun for the entire family at the right price. The Grizzlies were named the Frontier League Organization of the Year. The home for all this baseball excitement is the remarkable GCS Ballpark. Make plans now to enjoy baseball the way it should be in 2015. For more information and updates, go to gatewaygrizzlies.com.
All right, folks, here we go. Taking a look at two bruisers. We got the man known as Axe, who made his way to East Carondelet to take on the former Big Texan, talking about Big Jim Hofarth, in a match that might resemble a fight more than it does a technical wrestling exhibition. Herb, look at these bruisers. I mean, that's How would you like to be the referee for this match?
Well, and I got to tell you, and we talked about it earlier on, big men in the SICW, you know, how do you forget the big Jim Holforth of the SICW and Axe? I mean, he's no small guy either himself. So you're right, the big men of SICW in action each and every week right here on SICW Wrestling Explosion.
And this is a match that's going to see Axe really sort of have to live up to his namesake in that he is the Axe. He is going to have to take it to this big old oak tree called Big Jim.
Yep.
So we're going to see if Axe's methods, his offensive tactics, can cut down this big old tree.
Well, that big shoulder tackle just found its mark, and now he's going to want to. It looks like maybe I thought he was going to do a test of strength with him.
I'm not sure if I could advise that to Mr. Axe.
It's kind of a stare down now. Yeah, he's
an experienced veteran too. Axe knows what he's doing.
Yeah, Axe's been around a long time, and you can bet he's got something behind the scene here. What am I going to do here? If I can get Big Jim to bite on this, I'm going to pull a rabbit out of my hat here or something. I would not, like you said, want to be Axe about right now.
We'll see if Axe has any rabbits.
But I'll tell you what, back and forth, who's going to get the advantage on this one? Back and forth. Axe like to. Who is the strong one here?
Now, Big Jim with the height advantage, the weight advantage, he's going to have the leverage advantage on a move like this. So I have to question the, going for a test of strength.
He's got him down to both knees.
Here's where it got him.
Referee
Note
Terry
to
Riley.
self, don't try to test Big Jim in a test of strength.
Well, yeah, but there you go. Headbutt into the midsection. I knew that the Axe was thinking about something that was going to equalize the strength of Big Jim.
Well, now, something else he might have that he used to equalize the strength of Big Jim. We saw earlier in this episode when we took our trip back in time, we saw Bruiser Brody out swinging that massive chain of his, and that's a tool that actually Axe likes to utilize as well. You know, it's hard to catch it, but in the corner, I know he comes out wearing that chain of his, and that's always got to be there in the back of the mind of his opponents.
I just saw a pan of the crowd there, some of the new SICW shirts being worn by a couple of our fans.
Absolutely right. SICW, branching out, taking a few steps to have a few more things for the customers and the fans to sink their teeth into. We got foam fingers. We have T-shirts. It's really the fans who made the requests and demanded. They say, guys, we really want this stuff, so we listen to our fans here at SICW. If you have recommendations or if there's a product or something that you think you would like, let us know, and we try to accommodate everybody. So,
well, and that's
not that we can accommodate everyone, but we certainly try if we can.
We try to, and that's what brought the shirts on. Some of our good fans that come, Doug Bird and Andy and Eric. Some of their group that always comes to all the shows said, hey, you need to get SICW shirts. We'd buy some, and we think some of the other fans were. And sure enough, we
were right.
We ordered one shipment of them, and within the first 24 hours, those were gone, and we were on our second order. And so if you want to become a member of the SICW fan club, catch us at one of our shows. We always have them there. We got a book that's going to be coming out here real shortly for the Bruiser Brody Memorial big show on Saturday, May the 16th in East Carondelet.
Yeah, we're just a few weeks away from that. So, folks, start saving a little extra money if you're planning on joining us in East Carondelet. We're going to have some cool souvenirs for the fans. We've got some legends coming in. So, big show May 16th. And, Herb, I got to say, you did a great job. I thumbed through your Brody Memorial book just a little bit ago, and it's just a fine piece of work that you put together there.
Well, it's got a nice tribute from Larry Matisek on his. He did write a book on Bruiser Brody, but this was just a little blurb, basically, of what the late Bruiser Brody meant to him and I, and we've got some great pictures in there. And I want to just remind everybody, I've said it on social media, everything that we're doing with this Bruiser Brody Memorial is with the approval of Barbara Goodish, the widow of Bruiser Brody. In fact, she's coming in. She was here a couple different times before, and she knew that Bruiser Brody was a good friend of ours here in the St. Louis area. And so, no, we're not exploiting the Bruiser Brody. We're doing this to keep his memories alive. Her and her son, Jeffrey, appreciate it.
Well, and not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but I know Barbara is as much a fan of SICW as we are of her and her family. So, whoop.
There's that chain you were talking about.
There you go. Shades of Bruiser Brody being utilized by Axe right there. If the fight's not going your way, then maybe we got to bring something else into it.
And Terry Riley, the referee, getting some law and order restored here. But it's a disqualification, and right here on SICW, Big Jim's going to get the win here against Axe.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 5 minutes and 57 seconds.
Farm music and fun. The place to party is Pop's nightclub and concert venue in Sojay. From Bruno Mars of the first U.S. tour of Nickelback to Flogging Molly of the Insane Clown Posse, 30 years of memories pack Pop's concert venue with more made at every news show. And there's a party at Pop's nightclub every night, a melting pot of friends enjoy the best in dance, rock, pop, and top 40 music until 5:30 a.m. Plus add a full game room. Check out all the action at popsrocks.com. Then and now, the place to party is Pop's in Sojay.
From the World Series champion Tigers in '45 to the Gateway Grizzlies to the '03 State Tournament Belleville East Lancers. A tradition in baseball and an even longer tradition in fine furniture and service. Miller Furniture, 1004 East Main in Belleville.
All right, folks. Today we took a very special look at the man himself, Bruiser Brody. Join us in the East Carondelet Community Center on May the 16th as we are joined by Bruiser Brody's widow, Barbara Goodish, former announcer Mick Karsh, our own Larry Matisick, and of course, the Lariat Stan Hansen. For further information, check out SICW.org. We'll see you next week on Wrestling Explosion.
男女が踊る真のその強さを証明するために